Kitchen with Bill and Jeff. I'm Bill.
I'm Jeff.
I like to eat.
And I love to cook.
So we're here to talk about food, family, and fun. So, Jeff, what are we going to do today?
So today we're going to do a really cool little holiday type. Actually, it doesn't have to be just the holidays. This is something you can do and have sitting out on your counter as a great snack. So we're going to do a chili roasted nut with dried cherries.
Yum. Never had it. Sounds great.
So it should be really cool. Not hard, right?
Okay, then I can do it.
Thing. So definitely you can do it.
All right, great.
I think we can talk.
So where'd you learn how to do this?
So I went to the Culinary Institute of America in New York.
Nice.
A little culinary school here in the United States.
Right.
And this is one of the fun kind of appetizer dishes that they teach.
Okay.
So yeah, it should be really good.
Well, let's jump in.
All right, so we're going to, typically you would start off with a raw peanut.
Okay.
Which aren't that easy to find or aren't that easy to get. So if you can't find a raw peanut, then you can start with a dry roasted peanut, but I recommend no salt.
Okay, where'd you get these?
So I just got those at the store. These are actually already roasted.
Okay.
So, but I'm going to show you and talk you through how you would roast these if you did have a raw peanut.
Perfect.
So first thing you're going to do is you want to go ahead and get the heat on your pan.
All right.
Probably just a medium-high heat.
Okay.
And we'll let that pan warm up just a bit. And then we're going to put in maybe a tablespoon of unsalted butter.
Okay.
And I think it's really, really important for this dish that you don't get salted peanuts and don't use salted butter.
All right, overpowering.
It'll overdo the salt, right?
Perfect.
So this is unsalted butter. You can go ahead and drop like a tablespoon, which is just one of those pieces. Yep, drop that in there.
All right.
And we're going to let that melt. And as that gets melted, then what we would do, we would take the raw peanuts and we would put them in the pan and we're going to coat them, toss them.
Okay.
With the butter. So as that's, how close are we getting there? Coming along?
Yeah.
All right.
Come on here. On our way.
Yeah, just make sure your pan is big enough that it can take a pound of peanuts.
That's a lot of. Is that enough butter for these peanuts?
Yeah, it should be good.
All right.
You don't want them to be wet.
I always think more butter when in doubt.
Yeah, you don't want them to be wet.
All right.
So, in fact, you can probably go ahead and put the peanuts in now.
All of them?
Put them all in. Drop them right straight in. And then take your wooden spoon and stir those up and get them coated really nicely with the butter.
All right. Is the heat too high?
No, I think you're good.
All right.
As long as the butter's not browning, right, you're okay. All right, so you got a nice coat on the peanuts. You can go ahead and cut your heat, and then take the peanuts and put them out on a baking sheet. You can either line that with something like this wonderful silicone mat. I love the silicone mat.
Yeah, it makes cleanup so much easier, right?
Easier. Or you can use parchment paper, or any.
Just pour them all out.
Put them right out there. You want to get them spread out. Yep. And I'll spread them out. You can cut your heat.
Okay.
And then the big thing about roasting these is you want to make sure they're spread out nicely so that they can get enough air around them when they roast. Roasting is a dry heat cooking technique, and a big part of that is making sure the food is spread out nicely where the heat can work.
Well, it has a great smell to it.
Doesn't that smell good?
You can smell the peanuts and the butter. I love the smell of butter.
You know, and usually when we're working with nuts in a recipe, we want to toast them. We want to heat them anyway.
So it seems like you got to be careful or you'll burn them.
Right.
And that's typically what I do is I think maybe just a little bit more, and then it just kind of gets too crisp.
Well, and people forget that just because the heat is off of that pan, it doesn't mean the pan's not still hot, and it continues to cook, right? So you can burn them even when you have the heat off. Yeah. So what we'll do now, we'll take these, and you would put these in the oven for 10 minutes at 300 degrees. So we'll just kind of set those in the oven here for just a few minutes. Now, what that's going to do is it's going to start to pull all the oil out of the nuts, right? They're going to pull the oil to the surface, which is what's going to let us coat the nut with our rub mixture. So in this...
Now what is this that we have here, this rub mixture? I've been looking at this.
It's called Bad Byron's Butt Rub.
Butt Rub. Never used butt rubs, so this is for the kitchen?
Well, once you start using it, you'll never go back.
All right.
It's great stuff. So...
And where do you get this?
So you can usually buy this online. I know Bad Byron has this available online.
Just Google butt rub.
Yeah, or you can ask Bad Byron because they do have store locators.
All right.
And I know there's a couple of places here in our area that carry butt rub, but it's easy to get online. Should be no problem.
What else can you use it for?
So this is primarily a dry rub for pork. right? So Bad Byron is a competitive smoker.
All right.
And they have won many competitions for pulled pork, chicken, brisket. So this really is a dry marinade or a dry rub for pork.
And this
which is where it gets its name, pork butt.
So is there anything else you could use other than that as an alternative?
Absolutely. Any kind of dry rub, if there's a specific kind of dry rub you like a flavor that you enjoy, it could be sweeter, it could be hotter.
So the cool thing about this is you can play around with the recipe.
Absolutely.
Right? So you don't have to strictly follow.
Yeah, nothing is strict.
All right, great.
And then we'll get those out and we'll put them back in either in the pan or we'll put them in the bowl over here.
Okay.
And we're going to coat them with the spice,
Yeah,
right?
all right.
But they need to be oily. That's
Okay.
what lets the spices
All right.
stick to the nuts, okay? So,
Sounds
and
great.
the other thing about that is you want to make sure you put it on in bits. Put a
Don't just
bit
dump
on,
it?
put a bit of it on,
Okay.
toss them, maybe even taste it and see if that's good enough, and if it's not, add a little bit more,
Okay.
right? I just hate to see people take what a recipe says and just
Right,
dump
just
it.
dump it in. That's typically what I do.
Right.
It calls for that. Just throw it all in.
Okay,
All
so
right.
let's get another mitt, we'll get these
Okay.
nuts out of the oven, and while they're
Yep.
still nice and warm, we're gonna want to,
So about how long do you think that you left them in the oven?
well, these we only left in for a few minutes because they're already dry roasted.
Mm-hmm.
But if these were raw, you would have to leave them in 10, 15 minutes. Again,
Okay.
you want to make sure that they look nice and roasted, right? If they still look raw, let them keep cooking
Right. They
until you
smell
get this
great.
nice,
It has this real rich peanut smell.
real aromatic. So
Awesome.
bring your bowl over,
Okay.
and then I'll go ahead and give you that back. We want to get the nuts in the bowl.
Okay.
Yep.
And let's see here.
This is always the hard part, is trying to get those nuts into
Right.
a bowl and not spill them all over the place, right? There is no real trick to this, by the way.
Well, that's good to hear because it's
And
often a bit of a mess.
Look how well you're
Oh,
doing.
as soon as you said
we
it,
lost
I-
one.
as soon as you said it,
Yeah, jinx.
I lost it. That's all right.
Jinx. But you see the oils? You see how
Yeah, it gives
between
it
the
shiny.
butter? Yeah, the nuts have a shine to them. So that tells me that they'll really take well the spices and they'll adhere nice.
All right, a few strays there. All right.
Got it?
Yep.
Perfect.
Here we go.
So we'll add a few of those back in. Now, I always like to use a 1/3 rule when
Okay.
it comes to adding spices to something. So what I would
Alright.
do is I would take about 1/3 of
Right,
the,
just sprinkle it in.
spice mixture and sprinkle it in.
All right.
And then we'll get those stirred. There you go. Stir them up. We'll see how they look. We'll get a sense of if that's coating nice.
And it has a
Perfect.
great smell to it.
Doesn't that smell good?
Okay.
Yeah, so I can already tell by looking that we need to probably go at least one more.
Sure.
More.
All right.
Now, with these rubs, because they have cayenne pepper in them,
So a little,
the more
little
you
kick.
put on, the hotter they get.
Right, little
Right.
kick.
They'll have some kick to it.
So,
So if you know your audience and you know that there are people that are, they like a little spice but not a lot,
sure.
this is where you kind of play around with how much of the spice.
And
mix
don't
you add.
overdo it, right?
Don't want to overdo it, because they
Okay.
can overpower. All right, so now your nut is completely covered. You can
Right.
see you got good coverage with the spices. Now what you're going to come in with is a dried fruit. In this case, we're using dried cherries.
Okay.
And you could use dried cranberry, you could use raisins,
Okay.
apricot, right?
Right.
If you wanted to do that.
So
Drop them in,
all of them.
drop the whole thing in.
Okay. So
So
this
it's-
time we do want to dump them all.
Dump those all in, and then get that stirred up.
All right. Oh, look how cool that looks.
Yeah, it's a nice looking,
You know, this is so simple, but impressive.
well, what I like is you know where they came from, right? You know where the ingredients came from.
This is one of those things too when you have a lot of people over for the holidays.
Right.
You just set it out. It doesn't go bad, and it's
Look
just
how
there for
quick.
the day, right?
Look how quick it is. You
Kind
can
of
make them so
when
quick.
you're waiting for that big meal, you can
Right.
kind of graze on some food. This is great.
Right. So the other nice thing about this is that you can put those in an airtight container and they will keep for probably up to 2 weeks.
Oh, perfect.
There you go.
Put in
You
a
got it.
Ziploc bag and maybe take on a hike.
Take them on a hike, you can take them, yeah, just like trail mix or anything.
Okay.
There you go.
That's it. Very simple. All right, well, I do want to try some.
Well, absolutely. Let me get your fingers in it, right? Make them taste good.
Wow.
Huh? How is that?
Fantastic.
That good?
The sweet,
Mm.
really good. All right, everybody, thank you for joining In the Kitchen with Bill and Jeff. Love to hear your experience. Post any comments, questions. We'd like to invite you to subscribe. Let us know any questions you have or anything you'd like to learn about. And we'll see you next time In the Kitchen with Bill and Jeff.